Somebody said something about
get it going.
$1,500.
Okay. Anything else you can do?
You're there.
What?
You're there.
Oh,
It's
mine,
7.
looks like we got another minute left.
Oh,
My iPad said 6:59.
Yep. Call's meeting order.
Right.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Graham, Pipia,
Yes.
Bikeman, Hughes,
Here.
Fry,
Present.
Troller,
Here,
Barons,
Here.
Ron.
Here.
We have a four.
First up, we have the approval of the minutes. Does anybody have any additions or amendments to the minutes you'd like to add?
Move to approve regular minutes of March 9th, 2020 meeting.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
8-0,
Well,
7-0.
7-0.
7-0, sorry. No unit.
Okay, next up would normally be public comments, but we're, I guess, suspending them for the time being due to the coronavirus outbreak. So we'll get back to regular order in not too long amount of time. Next up is the business and discussion items, Marysville Chamber and Main Street application. Does anybody have any questions about that? Austin, you probably know more about this than
I'm glad to see both of these organizations came together, Marysville Chamber and Marysville Main Street, to make one united group out of both of them.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like they got a great team of members, you know, looking at the list up here on the board of directors, so I just hope everything works well for them, and
It's basically everything we paid them previously, both the Chamber and Main Street. It's the Chamber dues plus the Main Street, the 15,000. So it's status quo basically.
second home.
Yep.
move to make a check to Marysville Chamber and Main Street in the amount of $15,342 for our dues for 2020.
May I ask that we make those payments as we normally have?
Okay, as we normally have,
By the quarter and such.
Okay.
Yeah.
quarterly payments then.
Yep.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I would ask, if you make the second, you should say your name because
Okay.
people, because we're live streaming,
Okay.
they may not be able to see you, so just please say your
Only
name
Darren,
so
so I
the
seconded that.
Yeah.
crowd knows.
And another thing is I recognize people when you try, or what we're gonna try and do is I will recognize you and state your name.
Okay.
Hopefully loud enough that the camera will catch it. And if I forget, you might just state your own name, because I probably have to do that.
Also along this Marysville Main Street deal, I see they're looking for application for membership, so if anybody wants to become a member, it's open to them, so.
Good. Next up, we have the MOU, Emergency Management.
Move to approve the memorandum of understanding between Marshall County Emergency Management and City of Marysville for City Hall facility.
Second.
Bobby seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next up, we have the real estate contract for 101 South 4th.
I'll-
Yes, Terry?
I think it's imperative that we go into executive session, to discuss this acquisition of property before we do our contract.
I don't know if the contract is already in the open at this point. I don't know if it benefits us to do an executive session.
We came out of the last meeting, and said there wasn't anything decided in our executive session.
There wasn't, nothing
Then how-
binding.
How do we wind up having contracts drawn up without the council voting to do it?
You do not have to approve this contract. You can vote yes or no. And I don't know how much I can get into what was discussed in that executive session, but
Pardon?
I don't know how much I can actually go into what was discussed in that executive session, but
That's why I think we have to have an executive session. We have our attorney here tonight, and I think we should have an executive session before we start talking about these two contracts.
I
The
think at
executive
this,
session is confidential, the mayor's correct on that. And my instructions were to draft a contract that do the negotiations done by.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Pardon me, this is John McDish, I'm city attorney. I was instructed to draft up contracts that have been negotiated by the city clerk and city administrator to present at the city council meeting and have those at least prepared for dissemination tonight. The negotiations, in my understanding, have been completed, and we're no longer further to be discussions, it's ironing out the details in a written framework. These are pretty standard contracts. The purchase price, as I understand, is pretty much set in contract,
Why?
because it was negotiated by your city clerk and your city administrator.
Did they have approval to do that from the council? The council still runs this town.
Well, they presented the information, and
In
now,
executive session.
well, it's not the cart before the horse here. It's a way of getting this matter before the council make a decision. And so, they've gone as far as we can, now it's decision time. It's either up or down, whether or not those contracts go forward or not. It's my understanding that both sellers have agreed to these terms as a matter of pro forma in its interest.
I understand that, but the council didn't present those terms to those folks. This was something that the mayor and the city clerk did on their own.
The administrator.
The council never
Can't-
approved having these contracts drawn up. Whoever had you drawn up didn't get approval from the council to do it to begin with.
what would have been the proper way to do this? And we have gotten the property owner and taken it back to an executive session with all the council members and then hashed it out back there.
No, but if we come out of executive session and say that there was no binding agreements were made, this is presenting an agreement that was made in executive session, and it's something for the Attorney
This agreement
General.
was not made in an executive session.
How did they get drawn up then? Who
By John and-
directed our new attorney to draw up these contracts to begin with?
I didn't answer that, I was instructed by the city clerk and city administrator, Steve, and have something ready to present to council for approval.
Exactly.
And that's how you normally do it. I can't think of any other way of doing it.
You don't do what you say you're gonna do in executive session when the last plaintiff was said in executive session, and this has nothing to do with the acquisition of property, was about if anybody has any suggestions, we'll talk about it. And then all of a sudden, we're having a meeting, and we're agreeing to pay a fee that the man said he started at 50,000, but he'll negotiate probably. That was where it was left, and then all of a sudden, we got contracts to either say yes or no on, and we haven't had a chance to finish
Well,
before it was done.
The staff did the negotiating, this is as good of a deal as could be worked out.
And
So
what
now, as a
qualifications,
council member, now your decision, the choice you have is whether you think that's a good idea and vote yes, or you do not and you vote no.
Okay.
I don't know what,
Well, you
like
say,
this,
you say the staff
Austin and Cindy, yes.
and their qualifications to deal in real estate are what? Their only qualification is to bring what they
Well,
have
that's-
found out to the council, and then they would approve it, and then would proceed with the drawing of this thing.
Your city administrator, you hired him because of the experience and qualifications, so that would give him plenty of experience to negotiate a deal. These are standard type of deals in any city. I'm sure you've done it, and was it Chapman?
If you read those details, it's about providing and furnishing and doing this and doing that and time limits and everything else. It wasn't brought to the council, it was taken care of out of the council's hands.
But if we don't agree with it, we don't have to vote yes, and then we can go back to square one.
I was gonna say, it's brought to the council now, you either vote yes or no.
Yeah.
Well, before we do that, I want to go into executive session and talk to the council about another plan that would probably be better than this to begin with.
We've been looking into a site for a year and a half.
No, you have, you've
Yes,
tried to.
we have.
Yes,
We've
I
been looking for a
understand
site
that.
for a year and a half, over a year and a half.
Well, there is an existing property that could be purchased probably for.
Probably,
Pardon?
probably. Do you have a
I'm
contract
sure if
written
there
up?
was an offer made,
Price?
if the same people that did this negotiation would have made this offer to these folks, it would be for a half a block for maybe $30,000.
I will say, this is not the cheapest way to go around about buying property. But this property is adjacent to what we own. It's on the same block as all of our other buildings. It makes sense to put it there. We're not scattering them around. They share equipment. It's close for the other department. You don't have wasted man hours driving around from place to place. You're not putting a shop up in a residential area or disturbing anybody else.
You don't have to sell me on this. All I'm saying is you should look at all the avenues before you do it.
And we,
And in the position that our country's in right now, I think, talking about this real estate right now, if there is another avenue, it ought to be looked at before we vote yes or no on this. If you folks don't want to do that,
So you can propose that we go in now?
yes, I'd like to go into executive session right now with our attorney. And
I
I'd
don't know
like,
if you can go to executive session just because you want to
right
say
here,
something
the
you don't
hired
say in front
help
of
can
the
go
camera.
outside.
Huh?
We can do it right here, the hired help can go outside.
I don't know if we can just violate open meeting. I mean, this contract is open records, it's in front of us.
It has nothing to do with these contracts. I'm talking about an executive session to tell you about
About a
something.
different property,
Pardon?
about a different property that's available for purchase.
Exactly.
John?
I want the council to know about it before they vote to spend $150,000 on this.
It's not 150,000.
By the time the demolition's done and something gets done on that property,
The demolition is not gonna cost $80,000.
that's not for you to judge. You're only a tiebreaker in this thing.
Okay,
You know, executive session can be for acquisition of property, you're actually, you're correct on that,
That's right.
but it's already been disclosed, so the reason for that
No.
exemption is to allow the city to maintain negotiating strength. It's already been disclosed that somebody's made this offer, so really, you're really violating that.
Who made the
by
offer?
disclosing
Who made the offer?
the two sellers, this is what, this is an
They
offer.
made an offer to us.
This is, that contract reflects offer, acceptance, and consideration. The three elements of a contract.
I think I was just shocked that this contract was in the minutes anyway, because I didn't know we was going to buy it.
No, I agree with you, Councilman Blackman.
And I'm just as shocked as when I saw somebody called me that it was in there, I said, yeah, it's, I'm surprised that it was.
I really feel the council should listen about another piece of property that has nothing to do with this. We're not disclosing these contracts, even though they're out in public, so there can be a comparison made on the property.
Well, that would be, I guess, if the council would like to move these items down below the, well, can we go into executive session at any, I mean, generally we go to the end of the meeting.
I feel like it should have been brought, these bids, or these auctions should have been brought to the council.
Council,
They are brought to the council right now.
Before the contracts were brought up, the offers should have been brought to the
There
council.
should have been more discussion before the contract.
Before the contracts were brought up, were prepared. They should, the contract should have never been prepared before the,
There-
before the,
And like I said, I don't know how much I can get into what was said in an executive session,
that,
but
the executive session had nothing to do with it. These offers should have been brought to the council into
But
executive
going on
session
first.
before
when
these
you were
contracts were written
told
up.
to look into options, then I would think it would make sense to find out what the price is gonna be. Because otherwise, how are you making progress forward if you never get them nailed down on a price? That's what this is.
Well-
We got these people negotiated to a firm price, and then you make a decision whether you
But you should,
want it or not.
you shouldn't have drawn up the contracts before it was brought to the council.
correct.
I'd say you would want to get a firm price.
Well, we couldn't hear
We put this in here in the agenda, so everybody would have, it wasn't like I tried to sneak this through, so everybody would have the entire weekend to look over the contracts.
well,
And now we're in open, because you can only have so much discussion in an executive session. At some point, it has to become open meeting, and you have to have those discussions out in front of the public. You can't just go back to the executive session and just have meeting after meeting and not decide anything. I mean, generally, those are non-binding back there most of the time.
whatever.
I mean, if council wants to move this back, or if we can have an executive session right now to, if the council wants to listen to Terry's idea.
Do you guys want to move it to the next meeting? Would that be better after we have an executive session and go hash it out? Terry can say what he has to say back there. And then we'll move this up. And the way I'm looking at this now, this is just something we were looking over. Really something that we were looking over. So, what do you?
Now, if we're gonna vote on it to approve it, right?
Hang on. Are you guys wanting to go into an executive session and discuss the property that Councilman Hughes would like to present?
I've got no problem going into an executive session, but I don't mind hearing them out, seeing what the idea is.
I'd sure like to do it, but it's gotta be an executive session, because it's gotta be a case that we act as if it's executive session. It has nothing to do with what you put in the agenda, but I think it ought to be looked at before we talk about 3 and 4 on your agenda.
John, we can go into executive session at any point in the
If
meeting?
you want to, if your city council is interested in acquiring a different property, yes. It's only when you're dealing with disposition, you cannot go into
Gotcha.
executive
So
session.
it can't be about this, but it can be about property acquisition.
Right.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
I move we go to executive session, discuss other property issues at 7:19 and reconvene at 7:30.
Now, Cindy, do you have that? Probably not.
Go get it. KSA.
Yeah, Casey,
Pursuant to
whatever.
KSA, You have to read the scripts,
There's
man.
a
There's a
a
script.
couple sentences you have to read according to Kansas law, I believe.
I know.
All technicalities.
10 minutes?
Think that's enough?
10 minutes, enough, Terry?
Maybe if you've got some questions about it, though, it might take a little bit longer.
Well, I need, how long we want to go to executive session for, that's what I'm asking.
I'd say at least 15, if not 20.
Okay. You have to read it, whatever it is. 15?
15.
Try for 20, or 15, that's fine.
I move the city council recess in the executive session to discuss possible acquisition of real estate purchase, the acquisition of real estate exception, KSA 75-4319. This session will include the mayor, city council, city administrator, city attorney. The open meeting will resume.
This will include the council and the
We
lawyer.
will go into executive session at 7:20, and the open meeting will resume in the city council chamber at 7:30. 7:35.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Going? We're on to, a lot of things need back to order. No binding decisions were made. Guess we'll pick back up.
We are reporting back at 7:35 as the motion called.
I couldn't hear you, what did you say?
We are reporting back at 7:35 as dictated by the motion for executive session.
We're back to the discussion item of the real estate contract of 101 South 4th. Do you have any more discussion about that contract, questions?
Do you guys want to vote, or do you want to table it?
I don't think if we table it, we're not on some kind of strict timeline.
No, you're not. Vote. Somebody needs to make a motion.
Colleen Burns, I make a motion, we vote on the sales contract for 101 South 4th in the amount of $12,000.
No, that's the one for 50.
That's the other one.
Oh, for that, oh yeah, that's 50,000, in the amount of $50,000 pursuant to the contract.
Is there a second one?
Not yet.
Second.
Okay, 2 seconds. Any more discussion?
I think it's a bad time in our country right now to be buying property. I think we ought to see things turn around a little bit before we go off the deep end and buy something that's, maybe we're gonna, the city might need the money for something else.
I would say at the same time, I make the argument that if you hold off on all your projects and you stop looking to the future, you'll do more damage to the economy and well-being in the long run than from panicking. Any more discussion?
You can sell the 2-story White House and get it moved out of there if you wanted to, instead of demolishing it.
That'd be something you have to discuss with the city, yeah.
No, I wouldn't.
The owner wants to get everything out of it that he wants. The shed stays, I believe, right? We get to keep the shed, which is not worth a whole lot. The limestone basement in that building, you thought that we could possibly use some of that on the refurbishing the wall on, whatever, 9th Street.
Anytime we can run across the limestone basement, we can use it for that wall right there.
Yeah, it has the large limestone blocks for basement. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
What was it? Who voted aye?
Three.
Three? What? 3-3?
Roll call?
No, well, there's
Actually,
7 here.
roll call.
Yeah, roll call.
Hey, Mayor, the Attorney General did give some guidelines about doing this televised.
Yep.
And it would be helpful to treat it as a roll call, so the public does know how each councilman voted.
All right, roll call.
Pivia,
Yes.
Feigman,
No.
Hughes,
Definitely not.
Fry,
No.
Schroller,
No.
Barron,
Yes.
Franz.
Yes.
4-3.
Can I make a motion to table this and bring it back in the future, or?
Is that what council wants, is another couple weeks to look into it?
That would
some
be
more?
my preference, is that we bring this back after some further discussion, and hopefully more people will be aware. I've had a couple calls over the weekend, and I haven't had that in a while. So I think there's probably still a lot of people who want to voice their opinion about it. So, I mean, do I need to make a formal motion to table?
Bring it back.
Yeah,
Bring it
I
back.
move we table the real estate contracts, both for 101 South Fourth and 307 Broadway, to be brought back at our next regular meeting. in 2
Second.
weeks.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
April, first meeting in April.
Next up, we need to recess the council meeting for the PBC.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we recess the city council meeting to call the Public Building Commission to order.
Second.
Keith seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I call to order the meeting of the PBC. We need roll call? We don't need roll call for that.
Cindy, you your roll call for the public building?
Yes. Pivia,
Yes.
Feigman,
Yes.
Hughes,
Hughes, yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Schroller,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Franz.
Yes.
No.
I move paying Cooper, Malone, and McLean, Inc., $1,500 for the Public Building Commission. I take it that's on the pool,
Yes, that's their share of the, that's the bond.
the bond issue on
Fund
the pool.
on for the-
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Have a motion to adjourn?
Move to close the Public Building Commission.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we resume regular order. Do we have anything in notices and hearings, do we, Austin? Next up is the consent agenda.
Move to,
And if not,
move to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Has nothing on the consent agenda.
nothing
I
else.
approve of that.
Yeah. An easy night. I don't think that's ever happened before.
I've never seen it.
I can remember.
13 years.
Next up, we have the appropriations ordinance number 3720.
Move to approve the consent, appropriations, ordinance 3720.
Second.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Pivia,
Yes.
Feigman,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Schroller,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Franz.
Yes.
7-0.
Next up, Austin.
First on the list is the street replacement for Broadway. from 14th to 15th, as well as 14th and 15th from Broadway to Center. We had 4 people participate in our bid. Hall Brothers, Bryant Bryant, AHRS, and Inline. Inline came in at the lowest bid of $170,688. This was actually below our engineer's estimate that we had CES do last year when we were putting street projects together. And the street project that was initially covered for that estimate was just Broadway from 14th to 15th and 15th from Center to Broadway. So I think this is a really good number for this project.
Austin, I didn't see in there, I looked at it, but are they going to tint the concrete red like we did on there? Is it just gonna be just plain
It's gonna
green?
be concrete, because otherwise you're maintaining that tint.
Okay.
No, we're just doing straight concrete. The next block over is straight concrete.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's just gonna match that. It's
Okay.
Regular concrete.
Didn't know, just,
Yep.
like I said, I looked and I didn't see anywhere where it said red tint in it or anything. so-
Right, correct.
I noted that theirs is boldly titled as an estimate instead of a bid or a price. I mean, not to necessarily say that that distinction matters, but that's, I mean.
I
my
believe
world,
that's how they
somebody-
titled their
Okay.
like, when we approved their bid for the ADA rims.
Okay, I didn't catch that before, but I did this time, and I thought, I don't want this to be an estimate, like there's a 10% or whatever, 20% margin in there. You know, I know the terminology varies by industry, but
Yeah,
it'd
this
be
is,
nice if it didn't have that word in it.
this is, and I believe if I remember right, Hometown Drive when they did that, this is just,
Okay.
they put the numbers in there and that's what it is.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Now, do they have an
Diane?
inspector on site that checks this as they do it, so that we're sure that it's done well?
Our guys watch when they can. I'm typically walking down there, try to make sure, just like I do over here, I watch. And on our street projects, I do have CES test concrete. So there is somebody there watching. Which is actually, for the cost of the project, I think it's a few $100 for them to test. It's probably $700 for them to test the concrete as they go, just to make sure we're getting a good product.
Yeah. All right.
Any other discussion?
I move to approve the bid from Inline Construction in the amount of $170,688 for the replacement of Broadway from 14th to 15th, as well as the sections of 14th and 15th from Broadway to Center.
Second.
Any other discussion? Should we do a roll call now on this one?
Yep.
You think?
Pipia,
Yes.
Reichman,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Schroller,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Strong.
Yes.
7-0.
All right, next on the list is actually a mistake. I think I picked up an old policy. This policy is not in our current policy book, so I ask you to disregard this 14-day vacation restriction. There's no restriction on vacation days, it's just up to the supervisor. And the idea behind this was if somebody was voluntarily quarantining themselves during this time, that they could do that up to their safe feeling, I guess. And so I asked that please disregard this. There's no policy limiting the time on vacation, just the supervisor's approval. The third thing on the list, I'm asking that you make me the point of contact for Partnership for Growth. That way she can pass me information and I can vet it, per se, through what we already, what I already know and what the grants that we've already got going. For instance, a grant that she was proposing, we're already applied for. So it just stops stuff like that. another grant or another program that might possibly not apply to us. So it is, that way she can come to me, give me all the information. We can, when she wants to go to, for you guys to consider, we can make sure she's got all the information and put it into the agenda, and it just simplifies. You might still, in this scenario, I would still advocate for her to send her newsletters to you guys, but in any city business, I would ask that they come through City Hall.
So will you give us a report then?
Right, if anything comes through. Yeah, if she, well, it's more along the lines of, so if she would have just asked, hey, what about this cost share program? I could have just told her, hey, we already have an application in for it. That's all I'm trying to catch. You'll still get her information as far as your newsletter. It'll just be when things need to come to the council, we can vet it and put it into the agenda packet.
You don't think somebody from the council should be one of them?
I mean, if you want to vet that information, you know, it's up to you guys, but I think the best case scenario would be for staff to look through all this stuff.
We've got staff
Well,
full-time.
my personal opinion, I don't think they need to come to the council for that. I think we just get rid of the policy, that's my personal opinion. You know, they work hard, they earn it.
Oh, no, we're talking about partnership or growth.
Yeah.
No, the partnership or growth. We're on number 3 now.
The what?
Number 3. We're on number 3.
No, I want to talk, I still want to talk about number 2.
But it's a non-issue now.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a non-issue.
the policy was
We don't
changed.
have it in.
Yeah, we don't have it in our current policy. I think I picked up an old policy and went off of that. That was my mistake. So on the, as far as partnership goes, what are your guys' thoughts?
Isn't Councilor Schroller really asking, is our next official member assigned to the Partnership for Growth? Some cities have.
There was
ex
supposed to be
officio
somebody
members.
assigned to their board, wasn't they?
The previous mayor was showing up to their meetings, and I forget if there was named somebody, but I think Ellen invited previous mayor.
So I haven't been to any meetings yet, so I don't know who we would want to have represent the city. I mean, in a lot of ways, Austin would make sense, but, or it could be me, or it could be the council member, I mean, anybody, as long as somebody was on there, report back to council.
Well, I guess my thoughts are that Austin knows a lot of what grants have been applied for, so it takes a lot of off of us, because he knows and can say that's already been applied for, and she doesn't even have to come.
Yeah, but it's up to you guys, however you guys feel.
Would you mind doing that?
I don't mind. I think it would be helpful for her, especially if she's finding something we really can use, then I want to be able to say, yeah, we can really use this, and have some insight into it for you guys. Because she can come up with some good ideas, but we don't know that if she's not talking to us.
I make a motion, we appoint Austin as the point of contact for Partnership for Growth.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
The next,
Fire station. Next up, the fire station.
yes, fire station architecture agreement. Included is the agreement for architecture for the new fire station with BG Consultants. The fee is based on an amount that actually is required by the CDBG, Department of Commerce. They go by.
Speak up a little.
They go, the fee is set by a percentage based on the eventual bid price. So they're not gonna tell you it's 100,000 right now. They have to wait until the bid comes out to know the actual final price. but they need to get paid up until then for all the services they would be doing. We don't know the final price right now, but we know about, because CDBG sets the actual percentage that they could get. And for this, I think it was between 7% and 7.4% based on where our estimated we estimated 1.2 million for the construction part only. So that's how their prices actually come up with. They don't come up with the number themselves. It's fully based off of the process that is required. So their agreement is their standard agreement for architecture. And we estimate for this $1.2 million project between $90,000 and $100,000 for architecture. The planning process for this, he estimated to completion of, well, not just the planning process, but the whole project, he estimated at most to be done in 18 months. So we wouldn't be paying all this, the $958,000 that are estimated right now or in the next couple months. We'd more likely be in the planning process this year and pay at max this, a good portion of this architecture.
I question the one deal about when we're doing this, when it's beyond the consultant's control, are we gonna have a bunch of overrides on this thing, or when we get these guys to bid, we're gonna make them stick to what they did instead of saying, oh, we run into this, run into that, we're gonna have to get another 12, 14, 28, whatever $1,000, are we gonna make them stick to the bid? Otherwise,
Are you talking about the construction bid? Or-
no, he wants to make sure that when we do that, we're gonna have to be stuck for whatever's beyond the consultant's control. Why shouldn't, if he's consultant and doing all the consultant, why isn't it all in his control?
What are you talking about as far as control? What does he need to have control over?
When I'm talking about these maximum amounts, they want to be in control of whatever they're not in control of. So is this a controlling deal or not? That's what I don't understand. I'm just asking so I can find out.
As far as the price, they are given the percentage they have to go by. They can't control the bid. So like I said, CDBG gives them a number, 7% or between 7 and 7.4%.
I read that.
Yeah, so that's what they have to go by. It's as far as the price of their services. So I'm not.
Yes.
That's as much control over this as they have.
I did look at the contract, and Austin's correct. It's a percentage contract. Their fee is based entirely on the bid of the contract. So if it's high, they get a higher fee. If it's lower, they get a lower fee. Now, if you're really directing your attention at the indemnity clauses and the limitation liability, I mean, they really have crafted a nice little limitation liability, what you can come back and hold it for. There are hold harmless clauses. I mean, there's no defense in there. Again, that's pretty standard language these days, and the limitation liability as well, they fix their services. I mean, monetarily, I'm not sure how much money you could draw out of them if they make a mistake.
Well, I'm kind of concerned too about that. We get these bids and then all of a sudden everybody has a problem, so they need more money. Then all of a sudden, their consultant isn't gonna, we're all gonna get screwed around on this if we don't stick to the amount that these guys put their bids into.
Well,
If they do what they're supposed to do with their bids, these guys could be able to put the exact percentage on what they're charging us for doing it.
You're gonna have a construction contract and you'll have a bid amount. There may be a provision for potential overruns, and that may be a standard clause for the size of the project. I have to look at the contract, I haven't seen it. And you won't see it until you go out for bids.
Like they did at the high school, and they had all these when they had changes in contract, and what they wanted to do when they had changes in the equipment or something like that. Who has to, we have the approval whether we want to change, if we want changes or whatever.
Right, you control the change order, is that correct?
Change orders, right.
Right,
You have more experience in that.
Right, and to protect us, we do have alternates written into the bid request. So if the bid goes high, we can take some things out
Right.
and do those later or something like that. If the bid comes low,
Then
we
we can add
can
things.
add things to it so we're right where we think we're supposed to be. So we do have that control.
Right. Right. So we have some control as to what we're doing.
Yes,
so.
and by design, yes, those alternates are 1 minute control over this situation.
Well, if everybody bids what they said and deals what they say they're gonna do, there's not gonna be overrides, and we shouldn't have to accept overrides. And the city's been guilty of doing that forever.
Which overrides are you talking about? When it goes out to bid, the company's bidding, where you're gonna get it with extra fees is usually gonna be change orders.
Well, that one deal about when they had run into rock up there, we didn't know it was there. They bid it one way, it should have been on them, not on us.
On this, they know that they're dealing with some rock. That'll all be figured into the price.
Okay, I just pray that we don't see a bunch of overrides that changes all this.
Quite honestly, it may have been during my prior tenure, but that rock was actually held back on the contractor. The city doesn't pay for it. So,
It was?
Right.
that's correct. It was, they threatened lawsuit and we settled and the city paid no more money.
That's good, I didn't know it went to court.
That's on the sewer, they got it by the Baptist church, there's a lot of rock.
It feels all wrong.
Yeah.
Okay,
Live there.
Move to approve fire station architecture agreement with BG Consultant.
Second.
For a second, Colleen?
Yep.
Any more discussion?
I have one thing
Yes, Terry?
to mention. I'm in hopes, and I think we all are, that there's not gonna be no problems and our country's gonna straighten around, but if all of a sudden, all the people that are working for us can't get help, or they got sickness or whatever, are we stuck? And we can't get it done by the timeline to get this $600,000 from the federal government? That's a very interesting thing. I wondered if we could talk to that Emily and ask her if there's a chance that something can be done about that, if they would give us some leeway, some time, if we happen to need it on account of sickness with the United States. I think it's something to consider because we don't know but what we're gonna see martial law in this town in the next week.
I think everybody's concerned about the coronavirus and everything that is going on right now. Everybody's concerned about that.
My point is, maybe we should find out if maybe the government will also give us a little leeway about so that we still get to 600. If we can't meet the deadline and it's all done, we don't have the 600, we're out to 600.
Is there anything in the contract, John,
Austin,
that would,
got
okay,
something?
never mind.
Austin.
We have, the estimation of 18 months was high, and he said so, our architect did. We have a total of 24 months to complete this whole project. We have from March 15th of this year to March 15th of 2022. Yeah, to complete this project. We have 1 year from March 15th to sign a contract with a construction company. That's their timeframe. Is there a possibility that they would lengthen that? There's always that possibility. Depending on the situation, I'm sure that leniency can be granted, but right now, we've signed a contract to go, and we kind of, with Department of Commerce for this grant.
Yes, Terry?
I'm not really tight with I'm sure's. Has anybody checked to find out if they will?
What's that?
I don't live with
We've
I'm
got
sure.
2 years to get this completed. It would not surprise me if if the federal government would not extend out the dates on some of this stuff depending on how long this goes on.
Has anybody checked to find out if
They
they
don't
would?
know, they haven't passed anything yet. I mean, it'd be speculation if you, to say that they were gonna do that.
I just think it'd be nice if we asked somebody about it.
I think the trouble is, right now, they're all flying by the seat of their pants, the same as everybody else, and you'll get 3 different answers from 3 different people, whether it's from the county, the state, or the federal. Nobody's been down this road, and nobody planned thoroughly enough to really know.
I realize that, but the federal's got the change purse we want to get the money out of, and all of a sudden,
We'll get the money out of it.
How soon do we have
oh,
to sign
that's
this
good, that's
contract?
good talk.
They're not gonna cancel. When these things happen, if anything, the government tries to stimulate the economy. They do not
That's
hold
what they
back
talk
funds for
about, yeah.
projects like this. Infrastructure, shovel-ready projects, which was what they talked about in '08, are what they're looking for. We keep this moving along, it is definitely a shovel-ready project. It's not something they're gonna cancel.
I understand, I just think that it would be prudent to find out where they stood about having a catastrophe where somebody, they did have some problem, where they would give us some time. If you don't want the time, you're confident, it's on your conscience.
What contract are you referring to, Dave?
This contract here,
Well,
with the contract.
for
with me.
them to keep doing, because he's already come up for a meeting, I'd say relatively quickly, so they can start billing us, I guess is their goal. As far, I would hesitate to recommend holding back on any part of this project. As I noted before, we've signed the CDBG contract already and sent it in. So I would recommend, even if we want to ask questions, which is completely fine, that we go forward as planned so we can keep this going. And I can ask questions.
They thought that if we keep this moving along, that it was feasible to have this done by 4th of July of next year.
That was one of the dates, yes.
That was one of the dates that they gave us, which would be nice to have it open
Right.
next year, 4th of July.
It's always nice to have an idea in your back mind that you're still going to be taken care of when the fit hits the shan.
It is, but I'll say that, I mean, if everybody cancels their projects and governments stop doing projects, that is the worst thing that you can do to the economy at this point. The federal government and the state government is gonna have to keep money flowing, keep people working, keep the economy moving along.
They're
If
already
you
talking
cancel
about-
all your projects, that
they're
is
talking
not
about
what you
today
need
about how
to
to
do.
keep our economy stimulated and going on, and this is, we're gonna have
I
a
understand
lot
all
of
that.
people, yes, we have a lot of people that can work. I mean, they don't have to be bricklayers, they don't have to be electricians, they don't have to be licensed plumbers, but they're gonna be needing quite a few laborers on this.
Okay, if you guys don't want to know, that's fine.
Any more discussion? I'd like to make a motion.
It's not voted.
Okay,
Roll call.
roll call.
Pippian,
Yes.
Bikeman,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Schroller,
Yes.
Barons,
Yes.
Wrong.
Yes.
7-0.
Next up, the standing committee reports. Does anybody have anything for street? Yes, Terry?
I want to compliment the city on how they took care of what I mentioned at the last meeting, getting rid of that mud on 8th Street. That's really nice.
Wondered, I drove up by there to see what you were talking about, and it was gravel, and I thought, this is
Yes, they
different.
really
Are you talking
did a
on
nice
the end,
job
on the
on
end of
it.
8th?
Yeah,
I've been up there since they did it, then we'll check that out.
yeah.
We appreciate that. Thank you, Terry.
They did a nice job on, over there, on the manhole cover. Yes, it's nice that it's open, you don't have to go around those barriers anymore.
It is nice.
On
Yes, Tom?
the northeast corner of Broadway and 10th in front of Marcus Freese's building there. I know we've had water leaks and issues there before. The bricks are pretty sunk down, and I was walking and looking at the construction the other day, and that section there, is that something on our list as far as a place to probably pull up a section and relay it?
Yes, we actually want to put a fire hydrant right there, so that it'd be a combined project when construction is out of the way.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I know it gets kind of icy and stuff, and with the funeral home and everything, there's quite a bit of foot traffic, but it always looks kind of crummy, especially next to that beautiful new highway, so.
Mhm. It is nice. They opened it up today to drive on, they changed the
Mhm.
lanes, so.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
I haven't driven anywhere today.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, they did that today, so I'm assuming they're gonna be starting on that other half.
They're gonna start cutting tomorrow.
Are they?
Should be, yeah, the way they go.
Anybody else have anything on street? Water, wastewater treatment? Parks and Rec?
Where are we at on the swimming pool?
We hired co-managers, and they are in the middle of interviewing lifeguards and front desk people. Stephanie and
Gabby.
Gabby Boren, there we go. They're gonna be our co-managers, and they are moving full steam ahead. They were just, like I said, just holding interviews. So we are planning as if we are opening the pool, even if we don't open the pool, because I'd rather be prepared versus not. There is a good chance that we won't be able to open the pool at least on time, due to the restrictions imposed by the state. So that's where we're at. We've got some items. We just ordered replacement diving boards. The guys have been looking at different things that are on the list to be fixed. So we're preparing the pool. That's
Is there somebody who'll be solely in charge of the concessions instead of the pool manager? I mean,
depending on how they want to set that up. I'm leaving it up to them, the managers, to set that up.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? So we did have a Parks and Rec committee meeting this last week just to discuss the layout, kind of the design of improvements to the ball fields. The committee made a couple of suggestions. I think Keith, you made a suggestion, didn't you? I think what we did, we moved the,
yes.
it was moving the green space to Lindstrom Hall, and then keeping that area that's, it's a parking lot now as a parking lot. And keeping the play area basically where it was at. And they're supposed to be working on that and then giving us some final numbers on that probably have what next.
They were continuing to work on that, as well as the grant that goes
Yep, and the grant.
along with it.
So, anybody have any questions about that?
I don't like it, but, you know, I'm just one guy.
I drove down there and saw the railing. The gate was open, I was gonna I just drove there and I saw the gate was open, so I drove down in there, so.
Yep, yeah, they installed the new railing along the back side of the retaining walls. I think they were out painting it today.
Oh, good.
So it looked really nice before the paint, so I think it's gonna be
Yeah.
even better.
All right, next up, police and fire, or Keith, do you have something else?
Yes, some towns are closing their parks, their playgrounds. Are we getting close to that point, or?
I don't know, and I had somebody send me a picture today, and it was at Dargits, and there were probably 15 high school boys playing basketball out there. And although you hate to shut down something like that on a nice day, especially when they don't have school, but I've had this battle with my boys, because I keep telling them, you're not in school for a reason, and that reason is not to drive around and hang out with your friends. I know a lot of other cities have been shut down their parks because that virus lives on surfaces for days. You can't really control who is and isn't going in there.
I think, yeah, I was gonna say, on the list of unenforceable things, closing down open areas has to be amongst the most unenforceable
it's
rules you can do.
Hard to enforce.
And I mean, all you can do is hope parents are giving their kids speeches, and you can try to, I mean, I don't know what you would do, have the police go and break them up, be like,
I don't
go
know.
home?
No, I'm just asking, because some cities are to that point.
Yeah,
They have been,
And if one of those 15 kids that's playing basketball
has it.
is asymptomatic, then all of
Yes.
them are gonna get it, and then
Yeah.
it's gonna really community spread to
Yeah.
the family, so.
And that's the thing, if they're gonna cancel school and then we're gonna allow them to just congregate at the park, then we're not really accomplishing much.
Because any age group can be a carrier.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Well, I think there were little kids playing in the park too, I think.
Austin?
This was actually going around on the listserv today, whether people were closing their parks. The one example that popped up was Wamego. They put yellow tape around their playground equipment and said, you're free to roam the rest of the park. But they were more concerned about people catching it off the
Yes.
playground. That could be the case. I mean, that'd be kind of challenging in Lyons because you'd have to circle everything. We've already have City Park closed down for
Yeah.
another reason. So that leaves Dargits, which is a daycare
Mhm.
facility unto itself. So,
I think the daycares have stopped congregating there, is my
I don't
understanding.
think so, I heard they were out there playing.
I had some people contact me, but I know I posted something on Facebook, and one of the daycare providers commented that they had stopped doing that.
Right. I don't know if that was daycare or if it was just people playing after, little kids.
Yeah, and that's-
People having
and that's
their own
possible,
kids
too.
out there, but there were kids out there, I heard, so.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Some people just aren't.
Would you be opposed to closing the playground park for 15 days before spring hits?
all the park playgrounds?
Well, they'd have to take the swings off, and then they'd have to take the netting down. and you'd have
well,
to
it
all
would
of
be,
this.
it would more along the lines be yellow, do not
Yellow
enter.
caution tape.
Just to wrap around each piece of equipment. It might be gaudy, but it's a visual, don't touch this.
So, okay, I'm gonna throw a what if though, and but for the record, I don't allow my kids to go to the park right now, but what if an officer or whomever drives up, sees a parent pushing a kid on the swings or doing whatever, people will disregard the rules we put in place. What then? What do we do?
Discretion of the officer, he would probably get up, and ask them to move and not use the equipment. But I would hesitate against packing them into the back of the car.
I have a gut instinct against unenforceable rules, and I feel like this is a pretty broad unenforceable rule. I think signs, could we put up signs, warnings,
Yes.
broadcasts that we think it's a really bad idea?
And yes, and that's where some other cities were at.
Yeah.
Wamego, again, was basically, we put this sign up in yellow caution tape. If they do it, it's their fault, sort of thing. I mean, I don't think they were sending police down to enforce their playground.
Yeah.
I think they're in that same location, that same mindset that
Yeah.
you're in.
Did you gonna
we can print those out and laminate them pretty fast.
And I mean, it's spread on social media that it's a contact area, and if it can live on a surface for hours and hours, or even over a day, yeah.
Is that a consensus of council that I do that for all our park equipment?
Yeah.
And it's a safety issue.
Yeah. You wanna put a colorful yellow ribbon on each one, or a balloon, or whatever, knock yourself out.
Okay.
A balloon shaped like a germ or something.
I always like that, that visual of the coronavirus thing.
Yeah.
I have that, I put it on a shirt the other day.
Did I see where someone was gonna do the work on the park down here, the city park?
Payshaw Construction is going to, when they get time in the next week or two, I forget when they said, but they were willing to work on it. We've already got the stuff ordered for it. Insurance is paid for the stuff, and they're about to reimburse us for the labor too, so.
I was gonna say, do we know how much they're charging, but if.
Yes, yeah. But taking our $5,000 deductible out of it. So it's gonna cost us $5,000 in the end. We ordered the stuff, we've already paid, and insurance has already paid for the stuff itself. And then Payshaw is covered under the insurance. The insurance company's already accepted his price.
So we don't have to get bids on it then, so.
No. The insurance is paying for it all. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Anybody else have anything on Parks and Rec? Cemetery and Airport? Nobody? Police and Fire? Admin and Finance? Next up, we have the wage determination for Lemon.
What's his job?
Range master.
Hey, what?
He's the range master for the police department.
Range master?
Yes.
Is that for the gun show or the firing range out there?
Yes, he trains our officers on their guns. Certifies them, actually.
Approved $17.89 per hour for Bill Lemon.
Second.
A second. Roll call?
How much?
1787.
Hibia,
Yes.
Bikeman,
Yes.
Hughes,
I didn't hear what he made the motion about. How much?
$17.89 an hour.
I said, yeah.
Fry,
Yes.
Schroller,
Yes,
Barron,
Yes,
Ron.
Yes.
7-0.
how many hours would this be?
Every time they need certified, how many hours does
He probably doesn't even work 40 hours in a year.
Not that much.
Oh, yeah, I didn't have any idea.
Right, yeah, I think he recently just certified, or came
Yeah.
up and they did the shooting range, and it was, they were out for the afternoon.
So this won't be open to the public then?
That's not what this
Oh,
He's worked for us like 10 years or 12 years doing it.
is.
Next up, we don't have anything for city attorney executive session, do we, Austin?
No, unless the city attorney has a report.
Got anything?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Roundtable. Start, I guess, with Keith. Got anything? No? Nothing? Bobby?
No.
Nothing? Terry?
No.
Todd?
Stay home if you can stay home. Keep your kids from other kids and other people. Do what you can. Flatten the curve. That's all I got.
Yes. Diane?
Did you know that somebody said that there was people upstairs in the apartment on Chester block has a dog and puppies
This is the first I heard of this. I don't know.
upstairs?
They have a dog, I'm not sure about the puppies.
Are we allowing the dog in the apartment?
The dog, yes,
Why? 'Cause they were-
based off of precedence, we've allowed animals up there before.
Okay. that the dog has made a mess out in the back of the beauty shop and that they don't clean it up.
They're supposed to be cleaning it up. I can address that one.
Apparently they don't always, because at least one of the clients in the beauty shop had that problem. So anyway, it wasn't all clean, it wasn't always cleaned up, so, okay?
Colleen? Nothing? Kevin?
Just keep the curb flat,
Mhm.
stay healthy, wash your hands, do what we need to, stay ahead of it.
Same thing I've got, just flatten the curve and,
If anyone can sew, they're making masks for the hospital.
that is a good idea,
Good.
yes,
I got a bunch of material that I just washed and I'm gonna cut tomorrow.
yes, they will need that. Otherwise, I mean, we're just, and we had a meeting, all the mayors had a meeting last Friday with the county emergency preparedness and just kind of discussed, I mean, we know that our small businesses are gonna be hurting. The state has freed up some monies for those small businesses to get them through this. I mean, the main thing is just don't panic. Self-isolate as much as you can. Don't buy more than what you need at Walmart. That is very important. I mean, there's not a shortage of this stuff. Everybody would just buy as usual. There's no need for a lot of panic buying that I've seen. Everybody's aware of if you've been to Walmart.
Oh, that's not just here.
It's everywhere.
It'd be nice to the employees out there. It's not their fault.
Yeah, they're working long hours and getting, I'm sure, yelled at by everybody that they don't have things and worrying about that their job's viable enough that they aren't getting to stay home and self-isolate. So, yeah, be mindful. Be friendly to your Walmart employees and business employees around town that are working through this.
Thank
You
you.
know, support businesses that might be, you know, they may not have cash on hand
Yes.
to be sitting closed for long periods of time. Support them how you can, carry out some food, buy some gift cards, show them a little love. They help us when the ball team needs shirts, they help out, so time to repay that favor.
Yeah, small businesses need our help right now.
Well, I went to city court the other night, and we are making a little progress on some of them.
Good.
Not all of them. We got one that we're having a problem with, and we'll try to work on that one, so that they are getting some of them cleaned up anyway.
All right, move to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Well, it's quite interesting.
I like this setup, let's just do this one. Make the audience sit up there.